Hello there, and welcome to the Kirk Minahan wrap-up show for January 13th, 2021. Today, we played the hits with Captain Kirky's Top 20. It was, I want to say, one of those special episodes where Kirk kind of goes off the rails and does something unlike any show he has done before. I guess you could say this was closest to the Hammer, in the sense of, it was kind of top 40-ish, but this time it was only Kirk, and it was mostly just him just hitting the post and playing music. I enjoyed it a lot. I've seen a lot of mixed opinions about it on Twitter and Facebook and social media. Tim, how did you enjoy today's episode?
Was it good? No. Was it brilliant? Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
This might have been my favorite episode. I fucking loved today's show. I think it was less Hammer more than it was just Kirk, just, what do they say now, vamping, riffing, whatever you want to call it. Kirk just doing a show he really wanted to do. It was unbelievable. It hit the post. The music was fantastic. I mean, this was my time. I mean, the 80s is when I grew up too.
Yep.
So, of course, there's that connection for me. But it was brilliant. The way that he sewed in stuff from today and from the world and put it back into 1984. It was awesome. I couldn't stop laughing at a few points through the show today with the two letters from John in Illinois and Linda from Mass, and they were 48 and 6 respectively, just to signify the difference in age.
I mean, they got into just some celebrity gossip too with Madonna, with her crazed fans.
Yep.
Who unfortunately had tried to make a profit off of her name and ended up living her quite the tragic life.
It was just so great. It was, I don't want to say he was just, going off the cuff, because obviously they prepared for it, but having seen, we've all seen Kirk in action. It just, even the stuff off his head seems like it took him so long to put together, and that's the brilliance. It doesn't. He just can just lay it out there. The Ensign Hungwell, and that, again, kudos to the ensign who is now a captain. I mean, back in '84, he would have been an ensign. I mean, that is detail right there. It's sticking to character and paying attention to detail. So a beautiful, beautiful story of how the ensign inspired a young boy.
As I fed him, he sat like a baby bird, and I fed him.
It was just so great. I was walking the dog, listening to that, doing the quintessential, laughing out loud, and someone driving by was looking at me, because I was at one point I stopped because I was just laughing. It was like eating with my ears. I was soaking it up, and I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. It was so damn funny. The other thing that I thought was amazing is Kirk tweeted out they did play those songs full through.
Yes.
So that too was excellent. They could have got away with just the beginning of the song, or even in the studio just playing the beginning of the song. And let's not forget Carano.
Yes.
What a great job he did.
Yes, what a great intro music he put together there. I mean, he's really built for that kind of stuff. It's great. I love whenever Carano gets involved, just because I just know Carano. I can't say people's names this week, but I just know it gets up some people's ass sideways, and I just know the same people who are upset at this show are upset that Matt was involved with it, upset with the entire thing, and I don't know. That just makes me happy. Yeah, he did do a great job and everything was kept so secret.
It was incredible. There is a reason that Matt continues to contribute to the show, and today was just another example of why. So, hey, you can hate him all you want. I don't care. I love the guy. He's helped me personally with some stuff for the show. He's been an awesome help to me. The content is great. He actually, Matt, has a couple mentions in This Week in Kirk Minahan history.
We'll get to that in a little bit.
But it's funny that he's even further in now.
Yeah, I just want to say, so obviously I did not grow up in 1984. It's not my kind of music. I recognized a lot of the names on the list. I know like Billy Idol. I know his hits. I know Dancing with Myself, White Wedding.
Yeah.
Rebel Yell, stuff like that. I have never heard of a bunch of these songs before. Of course, I've obviously heard of Prince and Bruce Springsteen and stuff, Ghostbusters and stuff of the like. So the music really wasn't my favorite, but the intros and the ad reads just made this for me. It just made me happy to know that Kirk was happy doing this. He wanted to do this. This is like a freebie that he just put out there. He said, you know what? I don't give a fuck if anyone else likes this. It's not even like one of these things where this literally no one could have liked this episode. He could have just liked introing music, and so he decided to do it. This wasn't like Cullen, where Enemies of the Globe would like the episode, or The Hammer, where people more sillier Kirk would like this. No one could have liked this, and I still loved it because Kirk loved it. He said it was the happiest he's ever been recording an episode. So I think to give the guy a break from all this other shit that's going on in the world, and then the secret project, which seems to be consuming more and more of him and Steve's time, to let him just let loose and just talk about hits from the 1984 July of 1984 seems
second week in July. Yeah, it was. You could hear the joy in his voice, and it was awesome to hear. And also the tweet that he sent out about Steve. You know that he was sitting there just laughing at seeing Steve's face when he played some of these songs, some of the groups, the Thompson Twins. I remember them very well. I don't remember Ollie and what's his name, but I remember that song. God, it was awful even then. So do you know where this comes from? You must know where it comes from, right? The top 20. Yes. So AT Top 40, which was huge.
I know
before
Ryan
Seacrest.
Seacrest. Yeah, Ryan Seacrest took over, and it was still like a thing when I was growing up, and I still think it's a thing now, but I know it was way more popular before, like MTV and stuff of that sort.
Yeah, it was initially Casey Kasem, I believe. I think he was the first one to do it, who was the former voice of Shaggy on Scooby-Doo. And so Casey Kasem, he owned that show. I don't mean owned it. I don't know if he actually owned it, but that was almost a must listen to. I was personally into alternative and punk, but I still listened to AT Top 40, American Top 40, because there were always some good pop songs mixed in there. There weren't as many choices back then either. So you could get a good swath of what popular music was out there, whether you were listening to Kiss 108 or COZ or BCN or FNX, and then they might pop up in that top 40. Also, the little stories that Casey would tell. I know Ryan does the same thing, and Kirk did a great job of telling those little tidbits. The number 20 song. If you listen to it, that sounds like Hall & Oates, and you can see how it was written for Hall & Oates. So that's to think that's Kirk's. That's his obsession is 80s music, movies. It's what he knows. And to think he sat in a room with a guy who had no idea who half these groups were must have just blown his mind, which I think also probably brought him a lot of joy. It was just awesome.
It wouldn't surprise me if Kirk did no prior research for this show, but he just knew all like what I mean by prior
probably
research.
Did. He probably knew. He probably knew most of the top 20 that week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he sat down and looked at the top 20 and said, "Oh, this was Hall & Oates," or he looked up certain things about. But those facts he said about like Bill Cosby having the most top 10.
The top, the letters that he would read. Who had the most top 5 hits in the UK but didn't in the United States, and he just
Gary Glitter
weaved it in.
Friend, we have very similar interests. Gary Glitter,
right?
If you do not get that joke, Gary Glitter is he's currently serving time for, I believe, rape of a minor. So
correct. I think he got arrested coming back or going to Thailand.
Yes,
he was very fitting.
He's very open about it too.
He's kind of a proponent. But this is the thing that I would love to know is where the hell did he find the time? They're working on the case. They're still doing 2-hour plus shows 3 days a week, which they record sometimes the night before. They're planning for the case season 1, and they're heading out of town. They got Blind Mike coming in. They got Jared coming in. They have a million things going on, and Kirk still finds the time to put this in. Again, like you said, maybe it was for him, but in the end, it was for us too. And it's just, I'm in awe that he can just throw that show in there and do it so well. It brought back a ton of ton of great memories for me because I was 16 at the time. So I remember a lot of those songs in that summer and what was going on.
So the first thing that I do in the morning when I normally wake up at like 3 or 4 p.m. is I listen to the Kirk Minahan show, and that kind of sets precedent for how I feel that day. I got some issues up in my head, so I was so happy today listening to this. Just not it had nothing to do with any of this impeachment shit going on. There's all this. I mean, you just think of how the show's been these past couple of weeks. I mean, shit's been hitting the fan in the country. And to kind of take a break from that and just listen to some 80s music and, hear Kirk rant about how he gets these fucking letters from these fucking fans and he never has to fucking deal with them again. But it's nice because he, and I was dying at the fucking, when he said that thing about Marty Riesler. Oh, he's like, turns out he has stage 4 cancer, not stage 3 cancer.
It's got legs, right? So I know what you're saying. It was a nice departure from everything that's going on in the world. And think of it, Justin, back then, the only way, that you could have a red lead, you had to write a freaking letter. You had to actually write the letter and send it to, I don't know, Westwood One Studios or wherever. There were probably half of them made up, right? And there were times when people, it'd be the weekend, you might be at the beach, and people would be calling these radio stations to do either long distance dedications or just to get a song played and say, here's the so-and-so that's on Nantasket Beach this afternoon. That's the way it was. And, people obviously didn't have cell phones, and you were captive to what was on the radio. You couldn't fast forward unless you had a cassette player. So it was whatever they wanted to play is what you would hear. It was, and it was just, I'm with you. I mean, it doesn't dictate my day, what's on the show. It certainly is a huge part of my day. Mm-hmm. But today it really made me smile from the second I heard it. I had to keep pausing it because I was going between, getting ready for the day, taking the dog out, and I didn't want to miss anything. I tweeted earlier, it was the most fun I've had notating a show yet.
Yeah, it like I've been listening to Prince all day ever since. So because Steve had me get the songs for him last night. I didn't know this was happening until Steve texted me around like 6 o'clock. He's like, "Can you pull the top?" He sent me a list, and he's like, "Can you pull these songs and email them to me?" Wow. So I did that, and I don't know, it just puts me in a good mood. I've been listening to Prince all day. Little Red Corvette. What's that? Raspberry Beret. It's just. I don't know. I'm just in a happy mood now.
That was the genius. And I believe, did Kirk say he had the #1 movie that week too?
I believe so. So
it was it would be Purple Rain, right?
Yes. Or wow. I mean, I'm sure it was, even if it wasn't the #1 movie that week, I'm sure it was #1 at some point. Because it
was, I think he initially said July 14th. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know what he's talking about with when I heard Madonna, that was so great to hear. I as much as I like different kinds of music, I love Madonna. I loved her back in high school. Love that music. She put on one of the best concerts I've ever been to. And like you said, it was just fun. It was fun to listen to. It's, even her music was different and poppy then. And a little bit of the background. She had come from Detroit. There were rumors she was eating out of trash cans before she ever made it big. Who knows if that's true, but it just the insight. And again, I don't know how he had the time to put all that together, because I think it all just comes from his mind, his own mind. It's all up there already.
I mean, what a week to pick with Bruce Springsteen #2, Prince #1. I loved his little Bruce Springsteen.
Yes, that was excellent.
I don't care for this guy. He said some not great things about our president Ronald Reagan.
Do you think there was somebody in the control room with popping a little rod at that point?
I think we need to get the camera back on Steve. I don't know what happened to the camera on Steve, but we've not had video footage of Steve, and I think today's episode would have been a perfect thing just to put the entire video of just him, just a compilation of him just listening to the music,
and wondering what exactly it is that he was listening to. Yeah.
So
I think Steve would be better acquainted to Gregorian chants than 90% of what was on that top 20 list.
Yes.
Like you said, you're a younger guy than Steve, and you knew some of the artists, some of the songs that were way before your time. I would love to hear what Steve actually was familiar with.
Yes,
and I'd say
so
maybe
I
two,
think,
maybe.
I think having Steve host a top 20 countdown would be very interesting. Just to have him try to come up with these little things like this was originally written for Holland Oates, and yeah, so
he probably thinks it's a cereal company. But the last thing I'd say about this, Justin, you mentioned at the beginning, hitting the post. Gary Tangway, master at hitting the post. Kirk would say, I only get that from what Kirk says, right? He would get Gary to hit the guy was amazing. But I really wonder, could Gary hit the post as much as Kirk did every single freaking time? Even the Prince one, I was wondering, oh, how is he going to do this? How is he kind of ran out of what to say, and then boom, what does he do? He brings it back, and he mentions something like Prince, and I forget the name of Prince's band, and gets it right to the post. It was just consistent for every song that he played. It was great.
I don't know. Today's episode was fun. It's going to be one that I'm definitely going to re-listen to on, maybe I'm having a tough day. Maybe I knocked another show off the YouTube that I shouldn't have, and I'm getting shit on. I need something to listen to. But no,
I'm on my third listen already.
It was different. I mean, you can't knock Kirk for not trying. I mean, he's doing something different. He's doing a million different things right now.
Yeah.
I had a blast listening to today's show.
I would gladly pay. Obviously, it's not going to happen. I would gladly pay for a subscription to have a weekly top 40. A weekly top 20. I know it's so much work, but it, like you said, it just was such a good departure, and it was done so well. I loved it.
That's like Mikey, who wrote in, and he's getting paid 9 different people to record about 60 sitcoms, and then he drops them off.
Now, Mikey in 1984 with that type of diabetes, they didn't have a lot of the treatments they have now. He may not have made it all the way to today. So glad to hear that whoever that Mikey is still with us,
still kicking. So let's get into On This Date in Kirk Minahan history. I know you said it was a very special
for you
one, and there was quite a bit of content.
Yeah, this week was as always, just tons of content. So real quick, on Friday the 17th in 2020, that was the introduction. On the 10th, that was the introduction of Mike's It Never Fucking Ends.
Yep.
That was one of the quotables that has stuck with us since. Also, it was in Steve proclaimed to I think that Top Gun was his favorite movie, but couldn't name virtually anybody in it, or really just said it was about Tom Cruise flying jets. And also, this is very timely, there was a little bit of a rift between the Section 10 podcast guys and the Kirk Minahan show.
That's right, because of was it Steve Peralt? That
was part of it. Yep. And also that was the week that Alex Cora got busted.
Oh, that's right.
So Kirk didn't, it was the Red Sox, and he didn't pull any punches, so that kind of upset Carabas. On the 13th, Justin, this was they filmed at a stranger's house, or recorded at a stranger's house. There was a fight, not a fight. This is when the Winchester High School principal had Shirley Young in to talk and brainwash those young kids. There was a discussion about concerns in Madawaska about the fans being too drunk for the show, which I found very ironic considering what happened. Mike committed to doing the Instagram posts every day for about a minute. And that was to happen that Wednesday and Thursday. I don't think it ever occurred. And this is when they called you, Justin, and got your voicemail for the very first time.
Really?
Yes. The one when you made, I think when you picked up that third time, you said you were 12 when you made that?
I was in 7th grade. I was
12, 13. Yeah. so then Kirk loved that. He called you and said, don't pick up. I want to hear this again.
Yes.
Also this week, Blind Mike's geography gaffes. This is when Mike could not figure out time zones. They thought they went.
Didn't understand that you could be thousands of miles away and still in the same time zone.
Yes, he thought that Miami might be in a different time zone, and then it was more horizontal than vertical. Is that right? Yeah. Yes. So that were a lot of laughs around that. And then I got to say, the week ended on, I don't want to say a bad note, except on a bad note for Steve. So the week ended with Steve and Mike and Kirk went to lunch, I believe, with the Milton guys, and Mike ordered. I think they went to Legal, and he ordered something like chicken or steak, or it just really was some kind of cockamamie order considering where they were. And he didn't say anything the whole lunch. Didn't thank anybody. Didn't say anything. Steve was disappointed with the meal, but as we know, Steve eats, as he says, like a man, not in little bitty bites. So maybe there wasn't a pizza to inhale. And also on this date, January 15th, 2020, the debut of the song "Rape" by one Matthew Carano.
What a day! What a
unbelievable
perfect day!
Song.
You know,
Unbelievable song.
On the day of the top 20, the greatest parody song in Kirk Minahan show history, I'll say it, is released. What a song!
I love Matt, love the song. That's my number 2. I'm still going with Steve's a Liar guy.
Steve's a Liar.
Yep. And also there was a lot of Red Sox news this week because of Cora. So the next day, this is when things got kind of bad for Steve over the next 2 days. That was the next day on Thursday was when Kirk went to the press conference at Fenway, periscoped it, and Steve neglected to pull any clips. And so they talked that Thursday. Well, it happened on Wednesday. They talked Thursday about Steve's inability to be able to pull those clips and have them ready for the show. And on Friday, they talked about how Steve considered quitting based on Thursday's discussion, shall we call it, with Kirk. And the last thing I would mention, that Friday, they got news that they had won that round, that court battle with Curtatone, and then Curtatone subsequently went back and appealed.
Yes, that's still going on. Can you believe that's still going on?
Still going on. Mass State Supreme Court, February. Kirk won't be there. Toilet Paper Portnoy will be there to represent him, but he hopes it doesn't go to the U.S. Supreme Court because he doesn't feel like arguing in front of them.
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to say from today's show or on this?
Nothing. Nothing other than thank you. Kirk, thank you.
Show.
That was just
what
amazing. And Steve and Matt, what a great job. Thank you very much. I'm going to listen to at least one more time today, making it my 4th.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining me, Tim. It's a pleasure as always. Hopefully, I will see you next Wednesday as well. And thank you all for listening to the Kirk Minahan wrap-up show here on the Kirk Minahan Network. I will see you guys and talk to you guys